Hello and good evening and welcome to the late edition. I'm Gautam Roy. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached out to lawmakers of Indian origin across the world at the first ever PIO Parliamentary Conference in New Delhi. He asked them to be partners in India's development and act as catalysts in the country's economic growth. The Prime Minister apprised the over 140 lawmakers from 20 different countries of the recent changes brought in by his government, which has spurred the New India transformation, and urged them to be India's flag bearers abroad, apart from contributing through ideas, investment and all kinds of efforts to their motherland's progress.
125 करोड़ हिंदुस्तानियों की तरफ से मैं आपका स्वागत करता हूं। वेलकम टू इंडिया, वेलकम होम।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's warm embrace for people's representatives of Indian origin as he lit the lamp for the first ever Persons of Indian Origin Parliamentarian Conference. He hailed the community for its achievements that have made India proud, calling them permanent ambassadors. He said that this is the primary reason for his attempt to connect with the diaspora every time he travels abroad. Prime Minister said that persons of Indian origin have left their mark on every sphere, including politics.
भारतीय मूल के एक मिनी वर्ल्ड पार्लियामेंट आज मेरे सामने उपस्थित है। आपकी उपलब्धियां और आपकी सफलता हमारे लिए मान और सम्मान का विषय है।
Prime Minister highlighted the efforts made by External Affairs Ministry under Sushma Swaraj to maintain constant connect with those living abroad, including PIOs.
हमारी विदेश मंत्री सुषमा स्वराज जी न सिर्फ भारतीय नागरिकों बल्कि प्रवासी भारतीयों की समस्याओं पर भी 24/7 वो आपको सक्रिय नजर आएगी। उनके नेतृत्व में विदेश मंत्रालय ने काउंसलर ग्रीवेंसेस की रियल टाइम मॉनिटरिंग और रिस्पांस के लिए मदद पोर्टल की व्यवस्था खड़ी की।
PM Modi called on the community abroad to participate in nation building both in India and in the nation they have chosen to adopt. He said that there is a special focus on PIOs in the 2020 action agenda.
भारत के विकास के लिए हमारे प्रयासों में हम प्रवासी भारतीयों को अपना पार्टनर मानते हैं। नीति आयोग ने भारत के विकास के लिए 2020 तक का जो एक्शन एजेंडा बनाया है, उसमें प्रवासी भारतीयों को विशेष स्थान दिया गया है।
The world faces challenges of extremism and radicalization. The firm vision of welfare of mankind through a unified world community is the bedrock of India's ancient culture. This philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam can be a beacon of light for the global community to emulate.
अहिंसा और सत्याग्रह के मार्ग पर चलते हुए कोई भी विवाद सुलझाया जा सकता है। एक्सट्रीमिज्म और रेडिकलाइजेशन को काउंटर करने वाली कोई विचारधारा है तो वो है गांधी जी की विचारधारा, भारतीय मूल्यों की विचारधारा।
Prime Minister highlighted the rising aspirations and a change in the mindset in India. The simultaneous transformation of systems of governance is showing visible results of irreversible change. This has led to a positive outlook by international agencies like the World Bank, IMF and Moody's. 2016-17 saw an inflow of FDI worth $60 billion. Ease of doing biz rankings have jumped 42 places over the last 3 years. India has jumped 16 ranks for the second year in a row on the World Economic Forum's Global Competitive Index. The nation continued to rise in the Global Innovation Index rankings for the second year in succession, improving 21 positions. India went up 19 places in World Bank's Logistics Performance Index. There has been a near doubling of investments in several sectors over the past 3 years. Prime Minister recounted his government's efforts at creating a new India. GST as a tax reform has resulted in unifying the Indian economy, leading to ease of doing business. Government programs like Mudra Yojana and Skill India are resulting in the creation of new entrepreneurs. There has also been a tremendous increase in investments in the infrastructure sector. Schemes like Ujjwala Yojana are leading to socio-economic transformation. All in all, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called on PIO parliamentarians to actively participate in this growth story to further transform India. Siddhant Sibal's report for DD News.
Let's now listen into a cross-section of Indian origin lawmakers from different countries over what they had to say about the first ever PIO Parliamentarians Conference and how they can contribute to India's progress.
What's been amazing about India is the ongoing growth that it has. I do believe that the resurgence that the conference is talking about is true of India. It has, the modern India is kind of reaching its own personality. It's starting to push India into the center part of the world stage in a way that it hasn't inhabited it before.
Well, I think it was just right and good for it because we are part of the India, and Prime Minister exactly said, which was absolutely correct, like a mother would like to look after their children. So that's the country. India is our mother country, our wings are there, and he has paid a great tribute what Indians abroad are doing. And we are all proud of it, what we are doing it, and India is also proud of it, what we are doing it, and I think we should be carrying on this thing. It's a good, our contribution is well recognized where we are, and it reflects here that who we are. So I think it is a great thing, and it was a great initiative by India and the Prime Minister who started this thing on the very impressive day.
What we heard from the Prime Minister today is absolutely right, that within the last 3 years, India has transformed. India has also brought a lot of respect to the diaspora overseas. I feel that I can now walk with my head up.
Horticulture, agriculture, dairy farming, these are some of the areas where we have expertise, and India can provide a lot, New Zealand can provide a lot of help to the farmers over here to grow their strength in production and plus the food chain.
Well, let's now delve deeper into the kind of enthusiastic response the first ever PIO Parliamentary Conference got here in the national capital. We have two of its participants here with us. We have Hemant Marathe, he's the mayor from the US of West Windsor. We also have Nilza de Sena, she's an MP in Portugal, a country whose Prime Minister is also of Indian origin. Welcome to the show. Nilza, let me start with you. How was the experience of taking part in the first ever PIO Parliamentarians Conference? And how would you project India now back at home with the experience that you've got here today?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be back to Mother India and to my Indian roots. Indeed, it was an exciting experience, and I salute very strongly this initiative by the government, because it allows us to feel again in a big family with India and all its diaspora. I felt during all the day, all the session, that people were really engaged to not only with India, but engaged to a millennial culture that remains in our hearts, in our spirits. And I think I have my grandparents from Goa. I was raised on the Indian principles, on the Indian values. And it is interesting because being here, I feel it so strong, and I feel it in a connection with the diversity that we see in every street, but also inside the room that were the meetings. People from different countries, people with different points of view and parties, with different ideologies, but with the same spirit and with the same legacy. And it was the quite touching thing that I conserve with me.
Sounds wonderful. Hemant, what was your experience? What are the takeaways that you will carry back home in terms of how you would like to see India, where you are from? It's part of Washington, from New Jersey, where you're from, and then, of course, how would you like to help India in its progress if there are ways to contribute from the US?
Okay. First, thanks for having me here. This was my first experience at a PIO conference. I just got elected. I just took oath of office less than 10 days ago. So this was thank you very much. It was very exciting. Everybody knows that Indian people have gone all over the world and have been successful in various fields, in commerce, in technology field. What I realized today is now the Indian people have been successful in political field as well. It was gratifying to know that there are parliamentarians in various positions in 270 different countries. That's quite an achievement for Indians. That is something that we should be proud of, because we immigrated to these countries, we assimilated, and we have convinced our fellow countrymen to elect us as their leaders. And that's something we should always be proud of. So I was very happy to see that. You occasionally hear stories when somebody gets elected Prime Minister of a country, but at every level of government we have people who have gotten elected on their own merits.
Right.
I would like to also point out that India has made a lot of progress during the last few years. And when the world economy, when other countries are not growing as much, India is placed to be. So this is a message that I would take back to US and take back to other people that I meet, that this is the place where a lot of things are happening, a lot of reforms are happening, and they should look at it for future investments.
Sounds great. We'll talk specifics into what kind of sectors those could be, where, of course, other countries helped by people of Indian origin in those countries can really contribute. We're taking a short break right now in Late Edition. Do stay tuned.
शेर 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 आया शेर 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 सुन लिया अब शायरी सुनिए न झाड़ी के पीछे न पेड़ के नीचे शौच करना है तो सिर्फ दरवाजे के पीछे और पूछे क्यों खुले में शौच कीजिएगा तो बीमारी खुल के फैलेगी दरवाजा बंद तो बीमारी बंद शौचालय का उपयोग कीजिए और भारत को स्वच्छ बनाइए मेरे शेर के लिए एक और बकरा
दादी दादी के जाने से पहले पोता पोती का मुंह दिखा दो यही कहा गया ना तुमको ये पढ़
अब नए गर्भ निरोधक इंजेक्शन आ चुके हैं
ये तू पढ़
महिला एक बार इंजेक्शन लगवाए तो 3 महीने के लिए निश्चिंत हो जाए
समझ गए ना दादी क्या चाहती है परिवार सोच समझ कर बढ़ाओ खुश रहो
सेहत और सोच दोनों से तैयार होकर परिवार बढ़ा रहा है इंडिया फोन करें और सब जानकारी पाइए जोड़ी जिम्मेदार जो प्लान करे परिवार
ये है मुरारी अच्छों पर पड़ते हैं भारी
मुरारी की सवारी निकल पड़ी
छी ये कोई खाना खाने की जगह है अपने घर पे जाके क्यों नहीं खाते खाना ये बैंड बजाने की जगह है सुबह आ जाते बैंड बजाने भागो यहाँ से ये कोई हंसने की जगह है
अरे मुरारी चाचा ये क्या सास करने की जगह है आप सामुदायिक शौचालय क्यों नहीं जाते
बात तो सही है
शौच सिर्फ शौचालय में करें स्वच्छता की ओर कदम बढ़ाएं अपने शहर को स्वच्छ सर्वेक्षण 2018 में नंबर 1 बनाएं
बात तो सही है
आवासन और शहरी कार्य मंत्रालय द्वारा जनहित में जारी
Welcome back. You're with the Late Edition, where we're talking about the first ever PIO Parliamentary Conference that's taking place in New Delhi today. Prime Minister Modi addressed it, and over 140 representatives, people representatives from different countries, 20 different countries gathered in New Delhi, and they will carry the message back of India's progress, the way it's taking rapid steps towards a new India, and also be ambassadors of India in their own countries and take that message forward to the populace there. We have two of them with us. We have an MP from Portugal, Nelza de Sena, in our studio. We also have Hemant Marathe. He's mayor from the US of West Windsor. Nelza, if I could ask you, in terms of how people from, say, Portugal, or as a country, Portugal could contribute to India's progress, do you have specific ideas that you perhaps put across today at the conference?
I think the first thing is it was too important. The two visits last year, the visit of the Prime Minister of Portugal to India in January of 2017, and the visit of President Modi, of the Prime Minister Modi to Portugal also in June of 2017. And that two big moments improve this connection. We have a common story. We have huge fields that we need to improve in cooperation. I think it's important to engage this connection in science, in technology, in renewable energies, in economic fields. I think we have a huge camp that we can explore. And I think this kind of initiative can help us not only to be Indians outside, but ambassadors of the Indian culture there. I think we have to improve these bilateral connections. Portugal and India specifically have more than a dozen of agreements in different areas, but I think the focus is improve this engagement because we have a lack of time that it wasn't so spread and so deep, this connection. I think with the Prime Minister now with the Indian origins and with more and more students Indian students living in Portugal. I am a professor also at University of Lisbon. I'll still continue to see and to teach Indian students there. And people are keeping more aware to be with India in their minds and to come and visit the country. So it's increasing indeed. And that's the point I want to focus. Okay. Not to lose this great connection.
Wonderful. Sounds great. And you're a great ambassador for that purpose as well in Lisbon and in Portugal. Well, Hemant, ties between India and US are extensive already. There are a lot of areas that we're cooperating, that we see eye to eye on as two large democracies. One, of course, the oldest, India, the largest. But which of the specific areas do you think that still need work, and the message that you could take away from here for the likes of you in the US, people who make a difference in perhaps in the Congress or the Senate?
Right. See, any relationship,
and of course the administration.
Right. Any relationship needs constant working. So I'm happy that India and US are improving relationships, and we keep working on it. I work on a local level as a mayor of a little town. Yes. But the message I would take back is that, as Prime Minister Modi said, it's very important that India's ranking in ease of doing business is improved by 42 places. That's a huge improvement, because one of the perceptions people have is that it's tough to start business in India. So it's important to let people know that it is becoming easier, the government is making it easier, and the reforms that have been instituted have gone a long way in doing that. The other side of the equation is that if there's any Indian company or Indian businessman wants to open a store or a shop or a business in US, we are always open, we are always looking to attract commercial businesses to the US. So we can make it easier for them, and we can walk them through the process. So if anybody is interested in opening, there are a lot of Indian companies opening factories and offices in US, and we will always be open to them.
Well, certainly, and we will explore this aspect of business as well, because it's always a two-way street, and India is extending the soft power of the people of Indian origin abroad into getting more and more investment as well. That's an area which has not been as explored as perhaps in China. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Stay tuned to the late edition.
दरवाजा बंद, दरवाजा बंद, दरवाजा बंद। क्यों भाई साहब, कहाँ चले? कब से चिल्ला रहे हैं दरवाजा बंद, दरवाजा बंद, दरवाजा बंद, सुनाई नहीं दे रहा? इधर आइए, इधर घुसिए, अंदर चलिए। अरे खुले में शौच जाइएगा तो बीमारी खुल के फैलेगी। दरवाजा बंद तो बीमारी बंद। ठीक कह रहे हैं ना? शौचालय का उपयोग कीजिए और भारत को स्वच्छ बनाइए। साबुन से हाथ धो लीजिएगा।
अरे सुनिए भाई साहब, जरा गाड़ी चेक कर लीजिए प्लीज, कई हफ्तों से आवाज कर रही है।
हाँ अभी देख लेते हैं। मुन्ना मैकेनिक हाथ लगाते ही बता देता है गाड़ी का हाजमा। आप बैठिए। आपकी गाड़ी को टीबी हो गया है, ट्यूबरकुलोसिस।
क्या कमाल की बात कर रहे हैं भाई साहब, गाड़ी को भी कभी टीबी हो सकता है क्या?
इतना जानते हैं कि गाड़ी को टीबी नहीं होता है, लेकिन ये नहीं जानते कि कोई भी इंसान अगर 2 हफ्ते से ज्यादा खांस रहा है तो ये टीबी के लक्षण हो सकते हैं। इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ, याद रखिए, 2 हफ्ते से ज्यादा अगर आपको खांसी हो, बुखार हो, पसीना आ रहा हो, अचानक वजन कम हो जाए तो ये सब के सब टीबी के लक्षण हो सकते हैं। इसकी जांच करवाइए और सरकारी स्वास्थ्य केंद्र में जांच मुफ्त है, एकदम फ्री। इंडिया वर्सेस टीबी, टीबी हारेगा, देश जीतेगा।
Welcome back. You're watching the late edition. We're talking about the first ever PIO Parliamentarians Conference that is taking place in New Delhi today. And with us are two such persons among the 140 who would come to India. Hemant, if I could just carry on with the conversation about as far as investment is concerned, you know, you have a country like China where people of Chinese origin have contributed a lot of FDI. Some say that even 40 to 45% of the FDI that comes each year comes from people of Chinese origin into China. That is not the case in India. It's a relatively unexplored area which the Prime Minister is now pushing ahead on. Do you think that this is something that should and could reap rich dividends for India in the coming years?
Oh, absolutely, certainly. I mean, the world is getting closer and closer. There was a book a few years ago about called "World is Flat."
Yes.
So every country in the world is fighting with every other country for capital, both in terms of money and in terms of intellectual property. And India has a lot to gain. As I mentioned in the last segment, one of the perception was that it was difficult to do business in India. That is slowly changing, and that's a message that the PIO parliamentarians can certainly take back to their country and talk to their colleagues and other businessmen to change that perception and point it out to them the reality that it's becoming a lot of easier, and the Prime Minister is putting in a lot of reforms that will make it easier. And we have to compete with every other country, China included, to get our share of global GDP and get our share of global growth. And I hope this conference will go in a long way towards moving in that direction.
And in the context where India is seeking more and more investment from various foreign lands, how important is the Prime Minister's message about that we want to take everyone along? We do not covet any other country's territory. We are peace-loving people, and our message is straight and simple to the world. We want everybody's progress, and we want to grow in a manner which is organic with the rest of the world.
I think the message I point out of the message of the Prime Minister is a big open window, not only for the Indian diaspora, but also for the world. I think something is going on. That is a sign. I think it's a good sign. I think we have to be both eyes upon this, keen on this. The question is, how can we do for India from the outside? And for my part, I will be an ambassador. India taught me a lot. I think I learned, India taught me peace with yoga. I practice yoga every day. India taught me non-violence with Gandhi. India taught me care with the legacy of Mother Teresa. India taught me to be a vegetarian, the wisdom of being a vegetarian in a world that we have scarce resources. So the holistic message that I heard also in the message of Prime Minister Modi was also about this. And we also speak too much in economy because economy moves the countries. And I think in a field where in politics we lead with the conflicts, we lead to negotiate things, we can achieve results also with this connectivity, but also with these values, and I try to transport them inside my country and in all of the countries that I have the opportunity to visit.
It
I think
sounds-
that this is the important thing, to be aware and to transmit to all.
Sounds great. Well, let's hope that you take that message back from India, that we all want to grow together, and you serve as the kind of ambassadors that you do seem to be here in New Delhi as well. Thanks a lot for joining us this evening in Late
Thank you.
Edition. For all the latest, do stay tuned to DD News.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching.